Things First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Bucks and Heat, things got chippy last night in Game 2. Did Trevor Ariza cross the line with his flagrant foul on Giannis? Nick says yes.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, the Los Angeles basketball teams, they got a pair of huge Game 2s tonight. Which team needs a win more? And plenty of superstars vying for the title this season. Nick's got a list cooked up of those with the most to gain from winning it all. And with that, we say good Tuesday morning for you. Welcome to a fantastic First Things First. We have a ton to get to. Jenna, Nick, Brandon, Kevin Wild. Nick, I got to ask, I got to make sure no fatherly bias on this list with your large adult Slovenian son, Luka. I assume, I hope.
No fatherly bias, but much like New York City's cuisine, a strong international flair at the top of this list to be debuted in 30 minutes. Can't wait for it.
Oh, my goodness.
La la. All right, guys, well, before we get to a big night in the NBA, we got to talk some Aaron Rodgers.
And we're off.
Because Aaron Rodgers talked some about his future. We've been hearing for months rumors of his discontent in Green Bay, right? Many assuming it as a result of the team drafting his heir apparent. Well, yesterday, Aaron Rodgers set the record straight. Take a listen.
My situation, look, it's never been about, never been about the draft pick, picking Jordan. I love Jordan. He's a great kid. He a lot of fun to work together. I love the coaching staff, love my teammates, love the fan base in Green Bay. It's incredible 16 years. It's just kind of about a philosophy, and maybe forgetting that it is about the people that make the thing go. It's about character. It's about culture. It's about doing things the right way. And a lot of this was put in motion last year, and the wrench was just kind of thrown into it when I won the MVP and played the way I played last year. So this is just kind of, I think, the spill out of all that. But look, man, it is about the people, and that's the most important thing. Green Bay has always been about the people, from Curly Lambeau being owner and founder to the 60s with Lombardi and Bart Starr and all those incredible names, to the 90s teams with Coach Holmgren and Favre and the Minister of Defense, to the run that we've been on. It's about the people.
All right, Brandon, I'll start with you. Aaron Rodgers with a lot to say there. Mainly, this was never about Jordan Love. He says it's about everything else. What did you make of Aaron's comments?
Yeah, I mean, for a couple of months now, we've been asking for Aaron to speak on this. He had James Jones talk, his fullback Coon talk, and now he spoke up and he didn't disappoint. And it's exactly what you've been saying for 2 months now, Nick. I mean, you were the first to get on this. You said, here's the solution. The solution is to fire Brian Gutekunst. If you want Aaron Rodgers, fire Brian Gutekunst. Why do I say that? Because he just said people how many times? 10 plus times? Right? But he didn't talk about the coaches and the players. He said, no, I actually like my coaches. I like my players. So who are you talking about? You're talking about management, because you're not talking about ownership, because there isn't an owner for the Green Bay Packers. So it's simple. They need to fire Brian Gutekunst if they want Aaron Rodgers. But I don't know if this is the precedent in the National Football League. I've never seen an owner. I've never seen an organization. Hell, I believe the NFL would step in here and say, you know what, guys? You need to just get on and move forward, because if you fire Brian Gutekunst and you pick Aaron Rodgers over him, then you're setting a precedent for everyone to follow in the National Football League. And we understand and we all know the battle between players and ownership, players in the league. So this is an interesting situation, and it's just now heating up. And I thought this thing was heating up, a couple of months ago, Nick. But for him to speak up, and he still have his feet dug in, this is a big story.
Yep. It's a huge story. And just quickly, just from where the audio came from, on behalf of Jenna and Brandon and Wilds, I think I can speak on everyone's behalf. Shout out, congrats, and what a remarkable run by Kenny Mayne. One of the greatest in the history of our industry, and the walk-off last night of Marshawn and Sue Bird and Jamal and Fred McGriff, and then, of course, real news with Aaron Rodgers. Nothing but respect and admiration to Kenny Mayne. So I just want to say that on behalf of the show. Now to the news. If I did an interview And someone's like, hey, how's first things first? And I'm like, let me tell you, Brandon, amazing. Jenna, best point guard I've ever had. The producers, fantastic. And then stop talking. You know what the takeaway might be? Oh, boy. You know who Nick doesn't like? That old Kevin Wildes, because he couldn't talk enough about everyone else. Aaron Rodgers did everything there but name-check the ball boys. And Brian Gutekunst is watching like maybe something, a little something. And I also thought it was interesting that he said it wasn't about the draft pick. When we know that was kind of the start of it, but to me, what he is saying there is it's about how it was handled. And Wildes, and by the way, my example was obviously a fake one because I adore Kevin Wildes, but Wildes, you know me well enough to know that I at times can get a little upset at, you know, behind the scenes at work. I can disagree with a philosophy, I can get mad at things. But what I've never felt is disrespected. Anytime I've gotten angry, someone after the show calls me, talks me through it, like, hey, Nick, here's what we were thinking, here's what you were thinking. And even if I end up disagreeing, I'm like, okay, they value me, they are hearing me, and we don't always have to agree. What Aaron Rodgers to me was communicating is, I have been disrespected, and that has not been remedied, and I don't know if it can be remedied. And so that, to me, it was very clear who he was talking about and what he was talking about. And I understand Brandon's point that it's not a precedent the NFL wants to set. But if I'm Mark Murphy watching it, I'm like, he's making it very clear. There's one way and one way only to fix this. Do I want to fix this? And that's then having a very tough conversation with Brian Gutekunst.
Okay, so I have a solution for that. And Brandon, I think you'll be happy too. But first, good news for Packers fans. It's good news all around because I think Aaron Rodgers wants to be a Packer. He could have demanded a trade to Kenny Mayne, and he didn't. And first of all, the interview was 11 minutes long. About 80% of it was jokes and Aaron giving flowers to Kenny and talking about how great Kenny was at TV and how he watched him growing up. It was just a lovely interview. But the parallels were also right there of two guys who had been in an organization for a long time. And Aaron very easily could have said, you know what? Just like you, Kenny, I think that it's time for a change of scenery, and I think I could do very well elsewhere just like I think you would. And he didn't say it, and it was right there for the taking. And the fact that he didn't say it and he knows the parallels were there makes me think he wants to be a Packer. And then, Brandon, so for the solution for you, I think you're 100% right that they don't want to set the precedent that the quarterback can come in and start firing people in the organization. Makes sense.
That's right.
So here's the solution. Good news, Brian Gutekunst. You're not getting a raise, but your new title is Executive Vice President. Packers Strategy, Marketing, Sales, Historical Memorabilia, and parking. We need you. And you just give the guy a raise. You give the guy a fake executive vice president role. He's not fired. You dress it up a little prettier than I did. For real, like that's what's going to happen. But they're not going to kick him to the curb. They're going to give him some like more purview. And by the way, since you have such a huge purview now, we're going to bring someone else in to handle like just boring GM stuff because you have to worry about the entire Packers world.
It won't work. You just said the interview was 11 minutes. Listen to the 11 minutes again and count how many times he said the people. He went back to the 1960s. He talked about everybody in that organization that came in and impacted that culture. And so if you're going to take Brian Gutekunst and move him to the mailroom or, you know, VP of marketing and strategy, et cetera, Aaron Rodgers wants nothing to do with this guy. He wants nothing. He wants him out of the organization. He wants him out of Appleton, Wisconsin. Look, it's time to move on because it's going to break down the integrity. So either you move on, you move forward with Brian Gutekunst, or you move forward with Aaron Rodgers, but you have to pick one because what's going to happen is the new precedent in the locker room is, well, if there's discontent between me and the organization. I can speak on that, and I can also demand certain things. And everything that you're trying to do from a football standpoint, just winning ball games, getting back to the main thing, is broken down. The integrity is gone. So they have to make a decision. They have to make a decision fast, because they're not going to win ball games like this. Everybody's going to be up in arms. We saw that come from their wide receiver a couple weeks ago. Jenna?
Right.